I couldn't understand why I was starting arguments and doing crazy things right after it was a phenomenal holiday and everybody was excited and it was such a good time. But I couldn't understand why afterwards I was the one who was creating mess. I remember my wife is the one who first pointed it out, and she was like, I don't understand why you always find a way to start an argument after we have this phenomenal holiday. It's like afterwards you find out something to complain about, something to go off about, and I don't understand why. And the truth of the matter is I didn't understand either. It wasn't until one day I was with a friend, and we was with a small group who was talking, and people began to share how holidays, or at least right after the holidays, post-holidays, were triggers for them. And they began to share how after they had a great holiday, that they would, their moods would change. They would become anxious. They would be depressed. They would be angry, frustrated. And it was in that moment, I'm like, whoa, that's me. They're describing me. And so I had to really do a deep dive, like, but why? Why was I like that? Why, after such happy holidays, did I begin to change? And so as I really did some more deep diving, I realized that when I grew up in my home, after holidays were phenomenal. Family and friends came over. I mean, it was a happy time. Everybody was laughing and joking. It was phenomenal. It was great. But also, soon after that, there was arguing, there was fighting. Sometimes police were called. Sometimes my mother and father were fighting. And it would just, the whole house was upended. And so what I didn't realize is I developed this trigger that when times were happy, I was always waiting for the other shoe to fall. I was always waiting for something bad to happen. And if it didn't happen, oftentimes what I did to control the situation is I made bad things happen so that it would not happen to me. Man, for somebody, you got that. That thing hit you. You were like me, that to control things. That what you did was say, I want to be the one who makes something happen. I'm looking for it to happen. And so I'm guarding myself, protecting myself, because I know it's getting ready to happen. Matter of fact, I'm going to be the initiator so that it doesn't happen to me and I don't get caught off guard. And so once I recognized that, you know, holidays, and especially after holidays, those happy times were triggers for me, I had to realize, you know what? This is not that. This season, this time where my family is, it is not that my home that I grew up in. It's not the same situation. I don't have to be afraid of the other shoe falling. I don't have to be afraid of things falling apart. I don't have to be afraid of things going bad. And I don't have to try to control things by making them worse myself. Because inevitably, what I was doing was becoming my father, being the one who created this unstable environment where my wife and children didn't know if I was going to be up or down after the holidays. And I had to make sure that during holidays, I was very intentional about staying in the moment, very intentional about not being afraid and not trying to start something and not getting this anxiety and all of a sudden getting everything riled up and starting to act crazy. I had to do that. I don't know. I just love to be transparent. Maybe somebody, you have that same trigger that in your house growing up or at some point in your life after holidays, it was horrible. And so what I encourage you to do is one, to be in prayer, be intentional and say, you know what? This is not that. I'm going to stay in the moment. There's nothing bad happening. I'm going to stay right here in the moment. I'm going to continue to enjoy this time. I'm not going to allow my fear to cause me to act out. I'm not going to allow my fear to cause me to say things that I can't take back. I'm not going to allow my fear to take control. If that is you, listen, I share some stories like this in my book, Some Things That We're Fighting For. I want you to go get that book. It's about my forgiveness and reconciliation with my father after years of us abuse and of us being estranged and disappointment and betrayal. But God brought us back. God brought us back together. It was truly a miracle. And so we were able to restore our relationship before he passed. I want you to go get that book. But also, as we're talking about holidays, I have my first book that I wrote. My first book I wrote is called What's All the Fuss Over Mr. Wilson? Listen, it's a children's book, really talking about the real, true meaning of Christmas and the sacrifice that was given for all of us. And so go get that book, What's All the Fuss Over Mr. Wilson? You can go to my webpage, drrickymccrae.com. It's on Amazon. But listen, I want to make sure that you get that. I want you to be blessed. I want you to be blessed. Get it for your children, for your grandchildren. And listen, this holiday season, don't allow your triggers to take over. Don't allow your fear to take over. Be intentional. Be intentional. Make sure you stay in the moment. God has you. God is with you. Matter of fact, pray peace over yourself, peace over your family, a peace in your mind. I love that scripture that says that God will keep you in perfect peace, all whose mind is stayed on him. Keep your minds on the good things. It's going to be all right. If you got a relationship you can't walk away from, that you know it's a tough one, it's hard, but you know you need to stay in the fight with them, maybe you can't leave them because some things are worth fighting for. God bless you.